packing up, getting ready to move to Camp Schwab, do a little mount.
The morning we were leaving from JWTC, we got orders that we were heading out to a mount town.
So we got some intel that the people who attacked us that night were in and or around the vicinity of Snipe Mount.
If you're not familiar with what a mount town is, it's basically just like any other town that you're used to seeing.
It's something that teaches how to go through buildings, how to fight against enemies hiding in buildings where there could be civilians and other obstacles running through that area. So before you get to Snipe Mount, you get to another place called Combat Town. Walking into the Combat Town,
there's buildings on both sides separated by one central road.
It's just this massive, massive town.
It's really not that big.
To the left of there's this church that has like a big open area for like where you do your prayers.
And on the right-hand side, you have a hotel building. There's entrances to the rooftop. The bell tower looks over the whole town.
It's basically shoot houses.
Multi-level buildings on both sides.
Buildings that are all made to help the enemy. It's laid out in a sense that they have the advantage at all times.
That is actually true. Definitely a mount nightmare.
When we got there, 1st Platoon from Bravo Company had already taken position in Combat Town.
So there's no need to take the town.
And then once we got to the Combat Town, we started organizing with platoon commander myself.
In the meanwhile, myself and the other squad leaders were in the back getting an order from our lieutenant about a mission that we're about to go push down about a quarter mile away from where we're at right now with another town.
We had gotten intel that the enemy that we had met at J-Dubs, we tracked to Snipe Mount.
Snipe Mount, it's
basically just like any other town that you're used to seeing.
A little bit bigger than the regular Combat Town, but the positions are different. You can tell that every position's set in a way to where if somebody in a different building needed to see you, they can. So each building has at least one room, or it has an obstacle in it. The buildings are typically a little smaller, they're not as much to them, but there's multiple buildings. You never really knew just by looking at the building what you were gonna get yourself into. You didn't know the layout of the rooms. You didn't know if it had any added sections to it. The only thing you could really tell is that it had an upstairs and a downstairs, that's about it.
When we got to the Combat Town, First Sergeant Ingerson, he kind of gathered everybody around and he started teaching some of the Marines about clearing buildings.
And we start doing dry runs with the Marines, going from house to house, clearing rooms, working up for a force on force.
First Sergeant Ingerson, he's a crazy dude.
He went from infantryman to scout sniper.
Came over to 9th SB as our company first sergeant.
Anything that involves pulling the trigger, first sergeant's gonna know it.
Any chance that he gets, he's teaching us all of his trade tricks for the grunt side of his Marine Corps experience.
First Sergeant, who was really trying to get his knowledge into our little brains and teach us how to really do mount.
Just see how our guys reacted and how well they were within each fire team and squad.
It was the standard, positions, how to maneuver as a squad, certain obstacles, how to get past them, such as stairs, windows. Even some rooms can be considered obstacles by the way they're laid out. It was the mindset and the communication between other squads, and that goes for the ones ahead of you, behind you, and beside you that are going through the other part of the town as well.
Sure, 4 is locked, but we'll clear the outside. We got our orders that we're gonna occupy Snipe Mount.
They're gonna clear all those. Second squad, we're gonna be. We got a current frago saying that there was gonna be some enemies up there.
We tracked the enemy that we had met at J-Dubs to Snipe Mount, so that was our mission to locate and close with.
We started out at 1st Platoon's location, which was in Combat Town.
When we had finally got to the position where we could see Snipe Mount, we kind of pushed into the brush.
That ultimately was our point of attack.
The idea was that Corporal Martin was going to push into Snipe Mount, take the first building, and the rest of the squads were going to flow.
We took the first building, we went up to the gate stack, got stacked up.
Okay, secure it? Yep. Martin's on that part right there. So we're going to this one, right? Hey, no, so.
We waited for the signal that the first building was taken and we could really push in.
Hey, 3rd squad's clear! Let's go, sir, ready? Hey, friendly!
We didn't find that the enemy was in that first building, so we got orders to occupy.
Hey, 1st squad's outside of building 4, Bravo! I see I'm pushing right now, sir.
Once you got a foothold and had a support by fire position set, Sergeant Jenkins' squad, they were gonna push up.
Jenkins! Hey, listen, you're gonna get your squad, you're gonna come clear out this area. Be advised, friendlies are over there, gunnies over there.
I was grabbed by Sergeant Jenkins and I was told to follow him, and we beat it out the door.
Go left.
Listen, before you go, you got friendlies down there, okay? So you're just going over there to freaking support if they need you. If you hear freaking fire, then you freaking help them out. Here you go. Make sure that you see a fucking Marine, you announce yourself. You hear me? Go.
We go room to room, upstairs, downstairs.
It was every building. We were basically running the whole time, just checking the corners, making sure there was nobody there, securing the location.
Turning every corner, thinking that there's a possible enemy behind every door, corner, window. And we had gone through the entire town and there was nothing.
I'm Sergeant Cole Avenson, Bravo Company, 2nd Platoon Guide, 9th ESB. I grew up in Owine, Iowa. I tried to play as many sports as I could. I love wrestling, love football. I tried to play a little baseball, wasn't really my thing. I like hunting, I like fishing, just kind of being an outdoorsy kind of person. Anything that I can do to get myself out of the indoors, essentially, is something that I prefer to do. Yeah, I'm a pretty basic person, I guess. I joined the Marine Corps. You know, a big part of it was because of my cousin Josh. He was a Marine back when I was in high school, middle school. That put a good impression on me of like what was out there in the world. Seeing him go deploy overseas and whatnot is something that I always wanted to do. A lot of it had to do with my childhood as well. I kind of grew up, I wouldn't say a bad childhood, but I struggled a lot in high school with where I was going in life and what I was doing. I would always talk to the recruiters at my high school. They would come in and they wouldn't have to say anything to me. There's something that was just drawing about it, and I would go over and talk to them from when I was like 16, and they would tell me come back 2 years, come back in a year, come back in a few months, and I would always go talk to them. And so it was an easy choice for me. There's just something that was drawing me towards it, and it was kind of an escape for me, you know, to get some discipline in my life because I needed it, and thankfully I did it because honestly, I don't know where I would be at if I didn't.
Best way to do it, buddy? You have an M4, hand here, L, right there. Okay. All right.
Once we actually secured the town itself, we set up the squads in a 360 security around it.
And we realized with each building we needed more security around not just that building, but the whole town as a whole.
So when we got down there, I started pointing people in different directions and having Marines getting in different positions to provide security.
You're covering those windows over there. Get your muzzle up. Get your muzzle up. You're covering over there.
We all expected enemy to be there when we got there. but there wasn't.
It was kind of weird. Nothing was really happening. Nothing was really going on. We were just in our foothold of our buildings.
You guys get there, set up security, outwards, inwards, everywhere. Hey, the other people they're pushing out of the bivouac site, they're gonna be here in 5 miles.
There was a period with nothing going on. We all expected enemy to be there when we got there, but there wasn't.
So it was, we set the security, we had to take over Snipe Mount just because there was, the CBs had their own work they had to do there.
So I need you all to be alert, motivated, and ready to kill. Good to go?
Right.
Our target is still black jumpsuits. And where we're going, we're gonna be pushing out on this main road over.
About 10 minutes into setting my security, I could tell that there was somebody or something just on that edge, ready to pounce.
I was in the original building with 3 of my juniors.
And it's something for myself that it was almost nerve-wracking. It's about 15 minutes into our setting security, and you started hearing some commotion, people radioing in, hey, I think I see something in the tree line.
And then all of a sudden,
we start getting contact.
It was from over where Sergeant Gomez's squad was holding security.
What my orders were was to hold the building, and we could see the enemy moving along the left-hand side of the road.
It was chaos. So myself, Gunnery Sergeant Soda, and Lieutenant Bremen were all trying to radio to the squad leaders.
You got eyes on?
We had Sergeant Gomez's squad pinned down in buildings.
Where at, V?
He was right outside the window when he saw it.
Where? Come to you?
He was on that window, that front window. Which one? That front one right there, and he ran around.
me and my gunner sergeant, Gunner Sergeant Soda, had spotted the 2 enemies running around this building, so we chased.
All I see is Gunner Sergeant Soda and another Marine just flying through the air.
He picks one, I pick the other.
This guy slipped out of Gunny's grasp. The rest of the platoon just came in and dogpiled him.
And then you look over inside the other building, and then Corporal Martin, he's in a one-on-one with another guy.
I grab him up out of the window as he's trying to climb out.
In doing so, allowed other Marines to come up and restrain him, as well as Corporal Martin getting inside the building and himself restraining one of the Marines.
Hold on, right here. All right, hey. Index! Index!
We hear the word index, index, index. Index means cease fire, cease training, consolidate, the attack's over, the training's over.
Gunny Soto had tackled one of the Marines and broke his hand in the process.
I want to show you a trick how to get the pain out of that finger. Let me see your pinky.
Yeah, when you guys got caught, who's over here? I think it's Mata.
I don't think he's going to do that to you though, Gunny.
So essentially everybody comes out and we're starting to congregate and consolidate all the Marines in my squad and the other following squads. And we're starting to do a hot wash with the platoon leadership.
Spray paint that in orange. Drop it right here. They know it's clear. For nighttime.
After subduing our 2 aggressors, we soon found out it was a diversion.
At the other end of the town where Sergeant Jenkins' squad was at and the CBs were at, we just hear contact break out everywhere. It all came essentially located to that far end of the town. And then when we arrived at the situation, it was pretty bad.
All the Marines were up and ready to go as soon as they heard shots.
Circle back through Snipe Mount on the right-hand side. The main priority was to get the CBs and the Marines out of that situation.
We had some casualties being taken out.
There you go.
Cast!
Yep. We're good.
And there were still some enemies in the wood.
We saw them, we could see them in the tree line. We come up with a plan to find these people and finally put an end to what was going on.
They started doing call-outs and everything like that. The bias for action was there. There was no hesitation. They weren't scared. They were just ready to get in the fight.
We had QRF pushing up the hill behind where the enemy was at.
And that was the last time we heard of them.
So he can tell you there's 1,000,001 ways to skin the cat. However, I'm excited and how it went down, all right?
So as an ESB, we're combat engineers. We need to know basic infantry provisional tactics because we never know when they could just pull a squad from our company and attach us to an infantry battalion. And at that point, you now need to be the subject matter expert of not only your job, but being a basic infantryman.
So now with the enemy gone, it was time for us to do what we do best as engineers, demolition. So we headed over to Demo 3.